Let's talk about Paul Pogba. Misunderstood, failure. 6 years at Man United now coming to an end. Looks like he will go to Juventus on a free. I'm going to start with you, Carlton. Paul Pogba, failure at United?
Well, his second spell at United has not gone as well as he would have hoped. But it's difficult, I think. I think Paul's... It's difficult for him because the way Paul plays, Paul is like the icing on the cake. And I think if it's not set up for him to play the way that he plays, which it's not been set up for him to play the way that he plays, then you get what you got, which is he's not performed very well. He's not played consistently well, but he's a talented player. You've seen that. And, the fact that if everybody's talking in the manner that they're talking about him, they're talking about it being a bad egg in the dressing room and this, that and the other, which I've heard is complete rubbish. Why has Pep Guardiola just tried to sign him?
It's interesting, isn't it, Paul Pogba? Well, I think it's been a failure since he joined United. It's not worked. Maybe my expectations for him were too big when he came in. I thought he was going to be the next Gerrard or Yaya Toure. Clearly wasn't that. And he goes, the worst thing, on a free. United don't get anything from him. So that's a failure.
Look, I mean, it's not a win, is it, for either party? But you look at the dynamics of what a lot of the players say. Danny Murphy says the same thing as Carlton, which is which part of United did they think when they were... Which part of United's brain was thinking about Pogba in the configuration of the team that they were producing? Pogba in Juventus and Pogba for France is afforded to play the way Pogba wants to play because of the players around him. And they didn't have that structure at Manchester United. So there was always this argument that what did you think you were buying against what did you think you were getting and what have you built around Pogba. Pogba himself, players can change, players can evolve. Pep Guardiola is a coach that takes players from one perspective to another. He changes their engagement, their view on the world and improves them. They haven't, to my mind, had the quality of coach to do that or the support behind the scenes to ensure that Pogba understood his place on the food chain. When they tried to bring him into line with Mourinho, the player won the battle. And that can never happen in a football club. Players have to be valued, they're the talent, but the manager has to win the battles. Otherwise, you end up with a manager that's either disillusioned, disenfranchised, or out of the door. I think Pogba as a footballer is a tremendously gifted footballer. If he's misunderstood, then he is in part a contributing factor to that perception because I don't think he's helped himself in lots of ways. I do think it's slightly unfair that we judge Pogba by a standard that he achieved at Juve and for France, but we have to look at the configuration of those sides and say, what was he afforded the luxury to be able to do? So we're blaming him and attributing a lack of success and a failure moniker to him. And it's the second time round that, and a lot of the divisive nature of how Pogba's perceived, with due respect to that, I know he's passed away, was Raiola and his positioning and the challenges that he would always have, which is every time there's an opportunity to leverage Pogba into a move, Raiola was the face of Pogba, which Pogba allowed.
Yeah, but the first time, Simon, when he went, Pogba was 19, wasn't he, when he left Man United, and he wanted to play. And this, for young players, this is the thing that gets me a little bit about players who choose to go to clubs and know they're not going to play. I mean, one just recently is the goalkeeper from Southampton, just got into the first team, been selected for England, and now gone to be third choice or second choice to Lloris at Tottenham. So Pogba wanted to go and play, went to Juventus, played 27 games the first season and won the league title.
But you assume, just going back to your example of Fraser Foster going to Tottenham, you assume Hugo Lloris is going to stay in that position in the same way that people at Arsenal might have assumed Bernd Leno was going to stay in that position and Aaron Ramsdale came and took his place. So maybe Foster's back in himself. But going to Pogba, Ferguson talked about the fact that they were happy to have let him go first time round.
Yeah.
And he was not happy with the fact he came back. So whether Alex Ferguson is very binary in his outlook, because he is, he's very. It's either this way or it's another way.
Yeah.
So ultimately, there's no in between. There's no grey areas. There's no nuance with Ferguson. I find it difficult to admire Pogba because I think if you've got that amount of talent, which he clearly has, and you want people to perceive you in such a negative way, from the Man United fan base to the outside world that has a sort of half-educated opinion because they see Pogba on the back pages of newspapers, that's on you. And players can evolve. Players can change their game. You'll know more about this than me, Carlton, but the players that are natural in their positions and can do a certain thing. But if you look at, say, Silva at City and how Pep changed aspects of his game, how he became more physically involved in the game, how he became more influential in the game, even though he was pretty influential in the first place, how he made Aguero have to operate the way Pep Guardiola wanted to operate. That's because Pep Guardiola is head cook and bottle washer at Man City, and people do what he tells them to do.
The reason we're talking about Paul Pogba, obviously, is because, and I'm sure you guys are both going to watch it, Pogmentary is out right now. Is that a scoff from Simon? You're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
A documentary on Amazon Prime about Paul Pogba. Look, some of the statements that have come out, some of the quotes from Paul Pogba that have come out from this documentary have already caused a stir. This is one from Paul Pogba himself. My thought process is to show Manchester that they made a mistake in waiting to give me a contract, and to show other clubs that Manchester has made a mistake in not offering me a contract.
No, I understand what Simon's saying when he says he doesn't help himself. And documentaries like that, I believe players doing stuff like that. I mean, Raheem Sterling did that before he left Liverpool, and then people have a preconceived judgment before you go
Nothing
somewhere.
wrong with documentaries, though, innit? All the American athletes do it.
But if you're doing a documentary and you're currently not playing well, and you currently haven't had a good time, it doesn't come across well. I have sympathy for Pogba because, like I said, it's very, very difficult. I mean, I know Simon's saying players can evolve, but a player is a player, and players have partners. Right? But, you know, when I played, Gary McAllister, when we played together at Coventry, got his move to Liverpool because we balanced off. Some players can do certain things, other players can't. If I'd have played with Paul Pogba, or, you know, Pogba would have been a better player because I'm a similar type of player. I'm not as good as Kante, but I'm a similar type of player in terms of defensive midfield player, breaking up play and giving the ball to play. It's just not been set up for him to do well. He will go back to Juventus and he will do very, very well. He will do because they will set up. But this argument, Simon,
in his first time at Juventus, he had a certain Pirlo next to him.
Yeah, but
so he had a superstar next to him that allowed him to almost blossom.
But Eddie, it was set up with it. They played a three centre backs. They were solid at the back and solid in midfield. But Simon, listen to this one. I was having a conversation with John Barnes the other day, and this is what's happened with Lukaku. Managers now, Barnes is telling me, like Klopp, Guardiola, Tuchel, they sign players because of what they're doing at the clubs that they are, and then bring them in and ask them to play the way that they want them to play. So I don't get that. If you sign a player, you're signing Paul Pogba or you're signing a Lukaku, you're signing them because of the way that they play for their parent club, and then you bring them in and ask them to play a different way.
I know John, and I speak to John, and I know that John's got some very sensible views, but you're talking about very multifaceted, very intelligent, high-octane, high-level operating managers. Why would they take a player from a club and then change everything? I know that when you play for England, Ian Wright used to get stuck out of a left wing, and you think, well, crying out loud, he doesn't play that way for Arsenal, so why would you put him there? But I don't buy that argument. I don't buy that. Maybe they want them to do more than they've done in other clubs, and playing in Italy, as people keep reminding me, is far different to playing in the Premier League. The quality of defending in Italy, you know, strangely, is far different to it is over here. And that's why people are scoring lots of goals. I think Tammy Abraham's gone over and done very well, and I don't want to diminish what he's done. But Lukaku didn't do well. Besides for Everton, he didn't do well for Manchester United. He's gone and smashed it into Milan.
He did score goals for Manchester United.
He scored goals for United.
Go look at his goal scoring record. Yeah. It's not anywhere near the top strikers in terms of a goal every other game or a goal better than that every other game.
Simon.
Go look at it. It's not.
It's up there.
It's not. Go look at it. It's not what you would expect from a top Manchester United goal scorer.
We'll get the record, don't we?
Look at it.
Yeah, no, it's up there. And Tammy Abraham scored goals in the Championship and then went on to the Premier League to score goals.
I'm a fan of Tammy Abraham. So I was the first person to say at Chelsea I felt that Tammy could go on to one of the bigger clubs and actually really set his stall out. Yeah. But what I'm talking about is this argument that you're advancing, that John Barnes has introduced you to, is that managers of the highest calibre that have real lateral and literal thinking are going to sit there and go, I'm going to sign you because you do that, and then I'm not going to want you to do that.
But that has happened with Lukaku because the way that Tuchel's played, I was talking to Addy before we came on here. If you remember early on when Lukaku came, the first 4 or 5 games he was on fire. I watched him. It was against Aston Villa away, and he was on the bench, and they were getting beat.
Yeah, and
he came on,
and he mullered Tyrone Mings.
Exactly. Yeah. But Simon, they played to his strengths. They played down the side. Yeah. They got crosses in. If you watch Chelsea now, they wanted to play. They play and played. The ball's not played through to him. He's making those runs.
But they lost Chilwell and they lost Reece Williams for a period of time, so that might have added to that particular.
I understand that, but they've not played to his out-and-out strengths, and so therefore that's contributed in him not playing as well as.
But
when
we go back to Pogba, you know, it is laughable. It is laughable to suggest, my thought process is to show Manchester that they made a mistake. Well, you had 6 years to do that. People don't run down a £90 million contract and give a player away for nothing if they attach value to that player.
Well, they didn't give him away. They offered him a contract. He chose not to sign it.
Well, okay.
That's even debatable.
That's
when you
even
hear
debatable.
what
But the
they
point is,
say.
they've allowed it. They have given him away by association because they've allowed him to go on a free transfer.
Yeah.
So the beneficiaries of that will be the player
Yes.
and the incumbent club that are going to sign him. So the player will now be able to say the £290,000 a week that I've been poorly offered, which is an absolute offence to me. I'll be able to get 400 because no one's paying a transfer fee for me.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.